Roger, keep them coming.
Number 1, Đông Bắc Lao and Rule. Roll number 1, Đông Bắc Lao and Rule.
Make certain that we don't fire up our own troops.
How about checking it out? And Lieutenant Perry?
Charlie 2-3. Now, Roger, how many units have you got shooting us out? Yeah, we traced it down. The WP belongs to the mortars. No problem. Just tell them to make sure that we've got elements that are closing up on that location at this time. I want to be certain that when we do fire, that all rounds do land proximity of the top. Drake, Charlie 1-8, Charlie 2-3, are you aware of the target?
Make sure they're near them now. Then tell them to come up on Blackjack's push. Now, 7-9er. Division sergeant is going to be on this. Give him a case of Mike 6. Oh! 7-9er. Oh! All right. Last target. Second 2-6, go. Three cases.
Mr. Dong Maclau and Wu Salman.
Turned off. You ready? Okay, this is an interview with Lieutenant Colonel W.F. Honeycutt. He's the battalion commander of the 3rd Battalion of the 187th Infantry Airborne. No, it doesn't matter, I'll fix it up on a Dave shift.
187. Yeah.
Keep it going. Okay, stop it. Get that thing clear. Get on asking you questions. You right? Rolling? Rolling? Colonel, can you tell me why you think that the NVA were protecting that hill?
Well, we don't know. I suspect it's the 29th NVA Regimental Headquarters. It's a big enough complex. Certainly was enough well-equipped troops and everything up there. And it's an ideal place. It controls the Ashaw Valley, and you couldn't have an airstrip or anything in this valley as long as they held that hill.
Do you think the NVA withdrew, or you actually drove them out?
No question about it. They didn't withdraw. We drove them out, and we're now in pursuit of them, and there's a hell of a lot of them dead up there. Over.
You've achieved your objective now. Where do you go from here?
Oh, we'll consolidate on the hill. We've already got it. There's one other little area which the other unit, the Arvin unit, we're trying to get them to push into, which they'll accomplish in just a little bit. Then we'll continue to clean the area out and search out the NVA and destroy them and run them out of South Vietnam.
Were you convinced you'd get the hill today?
Well, yeah, we didn't left here if we wasn't convinced we was going to get it.
Tell me, why did you use a ground assault in preference to clearing the area and using B-52s?
Well, you couldn't put a B-52 on there and be sure of absolutely destroying it. You still have to go in. We bombed it. We put more ordnance and stuff on it than a single B-52 or even multiple B-52 strikes would put. You got to remember that you don't own a thing. You haven't destroyed anything until you go up there with foot soldiers and destroy everything that's up there. Air power is great, and we couldn't have made it without it, but you still have to go up and destroy these complexes and everything that's up there, and his weapons and his equipment, and run his soldiers out of South Vietnam.
You said shortly when you came in, you were observing the assault from the air, that you saw NVA heading back towards the border on foot. Right?
Saw a lot of NVA headed toward the border, and we shot them up.
Thanks a lot. What that there is a stop my voice out and put a correspondence with.
This is an interview with Major John Collier of Charlestown, Massachusetts. He's the operations officer of the 3rd Battalion, 187th Airborne. 187th. Right. Major, can you tell me what your men are engaged in doing at the moment, or what they have done with the corps?
Well, our men right now are up on the top of the hill. The first 2 companies to reach up there were companies of the 3-187th Infantry. And right now they have the enemy trapped in a bowl to the west of the major portion of the hill, Hill 937. And it appears that the enemy is fleeing to the west, and Battalion Commander Colonel Honeycutt is trying to bring all forces to bear on a squeezing movement to trap them in the bowl, leads to the west toward the border.
Major, how long has the operation been going now? How long has it taken?
Well, we combat assaulted in here on the 10th of May, and about 2 kilometers to the west, slight northwest of Dong Ap Bia, and fought for this hill that we're on now, which is about 1 kilometer west of Dong Ap Bia, and got that the very first day. And then it was Colonel Honeycutt's plan to riff for the high ground, so we sent companies out in several directions to riff the major terrain in the different directions. And the company that was sent to the east of Dong Ap Bia met stiff resistance. So we held what we had and planned for another couple of attempts, but envisioning that the casualties might be greater than we'd accept, and also based on intelligence of the area, we determined that there was a sizable force that we could go after with more than our own unit. And that culminated in today's operation.
At the moment, Major, you have the entire top of the hill secured, right?
That's correct. We have the entire top of the hill.
Yesterday, we understand that you suffered very heavy casualties going up the front of the hill here, as you see in the background. Can you mention what sort of casualties there were?
Well, that was a couple of days ago. We made a couple attempts for the hill. The casualty figures are a little bit misleading. The number of men actually killed, and the number of men who evacuated and are actually seriously hit is just a proportion of the total casualties. Any man who's scratched or nicked, for example, we had RPG come in on the headquarters here a while back, and we had a dozen men hit, but mostly light scratches. We've got to record the evacuation is excellent. We pull them out with a load, and immediately 15-20 minutes we have a medevac right to proper hospital facilities. So the actual serious casualties aren't as heavy as they might appear. Total number.
You still have the enemy on the run. I assume that you're pushing them towards the border, right?
Well, that's correct. The machine gun you hear in the back is far to the south of our position on a visual sighting of enemy moving west.
Today's assault up the hill, how long did it last, and what sort of casualties did you take this morning?
Well, the assault today, the essence of it, took about an hour, actually, from the time we started locking on with the enemy until we finally put a couple of companies right up on the crest of the immediate objective. It lasted about an hour. The commander is preoccupied with gaining the top, get involved with getting the top of the thing, and I don't have the active casualty figures yet. Today was substantially lighter than the previous attempts. I'm sure the troops will be glad to get up there. They've made several hard cracks at it, and I'm glad it was 3187 people that got up there first. It'll soften the blow of the other 2 days.
So, Major, this operation known as Apache Snow had to get its name.
How did it get its name?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that. It's just the name that was given to it. I don't know how it got its name. It certainly wasn't very cool up there.
Certainly wasn't tactful.
No, sir. Pardon me?
They're going to be taking her to the end.
Driver's going to be moving over that way? All right, I got it now. I got blackjack now. That's the CO. He's still up there.
The assault. Right up. Just hold it. Hold it.
This is Vampire 3, over.
Major, this assault today has been somewhat of a victory in a military sense. What sort of importance do you place on taking this hill? Is there any strategic value to it?
Well, yes, there are several considerations. Of course, you just meet the enemy and you beat him, and that test of wills is all important. And, of course, the soldiers are making the several attempts and not getting it, and then finally putting the original unit that hit against it up there first counts for a lot. But speaking militarily, normally over here you hear that terrain doesn't count too much, that the enemy flees and you grab a piece of ground, you leave it. This particular piece, though, where it's located and from intelligence of what was on it, it's quite a key piece of terrain, dominating the valley there and right next to the border infiltration routes. I'd say it's a considerable military importance, the terrain itself.
Thank you, Major.
The Army maps call it Hill 937, but to the 3,000 American soldiers from the 101st Airborne Division who spent the better part of a week trying to take it, it's better known as Hamburger Hill. 3,000 feet of triple canopy jungle jammed with North Vietnamese troops. When the Americans first began to climb these 70-degree slopes, they expected the enemy to withdraw 2 miles away across the Laotian border. Instead, the enemy defenders chose to fight it out, and as the days passed, casualties on both sides were ground out at such a fearful rate that Hill 937 got its nickname, Hamburger Hill. By the 6th day, the American ranks had thinned noticeably. The dead and wounded were streaming back in frightening numbers. Helicopter pilots braved a hail of enemy fire to retrieve the casualties from the slopes and carry them back to hospitals. Army corpsmen did what they could for the wounded until medevac helicopters arrived to take them on to more civilized treatment. CBS cameraman Don McLeod and soundman Nguyen Vu recorded the story as in the heat of midday, the 101st Airborne stormed the last few smashed enemy bunkers at the peak of Hamburger Hill and conquered it. The remaining enemy defenders fled toward Laos, carrying their wounded. One American soldier, borne along on a litter, holding an enemy bullet in his stomach, put it bluntly. "My God," he said, "that hill is absolute suicide." Richard Threlkeld, CBS News, reporting.